This is Political Core, the non-PC edition of The Aaron Cruz Show, where you decide the topics. The only place where you get the news you want from the people you trust. We are your balanced and accurate information resource.
Good evening and welcome to the Aaron Cruz Show, coming from Palm Springs, California. This is Political Core. I'm your hostess, Aaron Cruz. Thank you for joining me. Tonight's topic is North Korea, the Trump investigation, its ties to Obama and the corrupt media, and then, of course, we're going to cover a little bit of the special elections going on right now. It's pretty exciting out there. Thank you for joining me again. I just wanted to go over a few things. We have some great news on Obamacare that I want to talk to you about, and just, I mean, I'm almost in awe when it comes to the Obamacare topic. So make sure you hold on tight till the end of the show. It is a short show, so it's only about a half hour or so, 45 minutes sometimes. So hold in for that update. So now I wanted to talk about tonight North Korea. I am just stunned at the information, misinformation, disinformation, the topics that are being thrown around to the general public on this topic. Many people have talked about this. It's such a tragedy. In case you are unaware, Otto, a young man, American student, he was released from North Korea and he passed away. Unfortunately, he came back to us here in the States in a coma. Many claims by the North Korean government as to why he was even in a coma. One of the reasons why they said he was in a coma was due to botulism, which was proven obviously wrong. But apparently, okay, so in case you don't know much of the background, so Otto, he was an honor student from the University of Virginia, and he spent 17 months in brutal captivity and more than a year in a coma. All right, and he died this last Monday, at a Cincinnati hospital where he had received exemplary treatment, and with his family just completely devastated. So, he was unable to speak, obviously, when he came home. He didn't react to any verbal commands. He was very uncomfortable and as they said, quote, almost anguished. It was very hard for the parents to see, I'm sure. One of the reasons why the North Korean government is saying that he went to jail there was because he had attempted to steal or stolen a poster. And I've talked to several different people about this, and just in a common way. And it's kind of this thought that they're almost like, well, he did something wrong. But I think it's important to recognize what really did happen. To try to be objective. So Otto was detained at the airport in North Korea in early January, and he was charged with, quote, a hostile act. All right, hostile act. And he was basically convicted less than 2 months later of trying to steal a propaganda poster. And one of the methods by which we've seen North Korea reach out and prove individuals as guilty is by confessions and tearful confessions. Well, I can imagine, and I'm sure I say I can imagine because I've been in very traumatic situations myself. Maybe you can't imagine yourself, but I can imagine the sort of abuse and utter fear that this man, this young kid, had experienced over there as a prisoner, and the kind of pressure he might have been subjected to, and manipulation, perhaps torture of sorts, maybe not traditional sorts that they could have found on his person when they examined him when he got home. But he's in a position where he may never see his family again, and he's upset, and he gives a testimony where he's admitted this crime, televised confession, and in the hour that he was on trial, his life was stolen away from him. This is an honors student. This is a young man who is very involved in his community at home, and here he goes abroad, and then he's convicted of trying to steal a propaganda poster, put on the stand for all the world to see, and confesses to this crime in fear of God only knows what, and his life is wiped away. And it wasn't until about 2 weeks ago that his family received word that he was in a coma, and then just days later he was on a flight home. So when we look at this, and when I look at this, and when I think about this, you're a young man, you're over in a third world country with a dictator-in-chief. You shouldn't even be there, but you're there, and something happens. It could be on video, it could be witnessed, it could be, they catch you in the act or not. The point is that you're now in a foreign land, and you're subject to their rules and their laws, and what they say goes, and for the smallest of crimes like stealing, you could end up life in prison and never see your family again in conditions that maybe you're not, not ever expecting to be in. And here he is over there in this situation, and God only knows what happened to him in the time in between. But the doctors, it's clear, is that say that Otto had a, quote, extensive loss of brain tissue in all regions of his brain. They think it's by cardiopulmonary arrest that cut off blood supply to his brain. So many different, I think that there are many different sorts of things that could have happened. It could have been beatings of sorts, torture of sorts. They don't see any broken bones or injuries consistent with physical abuse on his body when they did the exam. But the thing is that, for the Koreans, they're blaming a combination of botulism and sleeping pills for his condition. And while the doctors here did not talk about the sleeping pills, they did mention that botulism is not to blame. And so there are a lot of questions surrounding this horrific crime against our American citizens, meaning Otto and his parents and his family members, who now are lacking a son because of a piece of paper that the North Koreans say that this young man supposedly took, or tried to take, or whatever it is that they came up with. I'll be quite honest with you, I don't believe a word that they say. They are a totalitarian type regime. They're very hostile. They shot off several missiles in the time he was there, and they're known, very well known, for their lies surrounding detainment and arrests with foreign persons. So I don't believe a word they say. It will take some time, I'm sure, to iron out what actually happened, and it actually may not ever come to light specifically what happened to this young man while he was there. But one thing is for sure, is we've lost a beautiful soul, an American young man who had a bright future ahead of him, and people responsible will be, definitely definitely held to the wall and accountable, and that would be the North Korean government. And then I would like to say very clearly that will also be Barack Obama. Barack Obama is the person who was in charge of our great nation when this boy was detained. What did Barack Obama do to get this young man released? How far was Barack Obama willing to go to get this young man home? How far did Barack Obama go to ensure that this young man was healthy or safe, or at least get some sign of life from this foreign government? How far did Barack Obama go when the Korean government, the North Korean government, was flexing its missile muscles towards our nation while they had one of our own on their soil? How far did Barack Obama go to push to find out how we could get this young man home and what exactly had happened to get him to the place where he couldn't be spoken to and where he couldn't come home to his family? How far did Barack Obama go for our young citizen, our young man, our young scholar? And I would actually like to compare this in similar to the Marine who took a wrong turn into Mexico. Now, this is very similar. Why did this Marine take a wrong turn into Mexico, and why did he get put in that position where then he was stuck there in their jails? Okay, well, you shouldn't be in North Korea, and you shouldn't take those kinds of wrong turns that this Marine took. The point is, though, that these are our citizens. And yes, they're only one small piece, one citizen out of 300 and some odd million. But as we talk about in war, and as I've heard my uncles say, my grandfather say, no man is left behind. Well, these are men who were left behind. They were let there to stay and suffer. And in the case of our Marine, he finally made it home, thank God, but it wasn't for a very long time and a great deal of public pressure and media scrutiny to get Obama to the point where he would kind of intervene, and at that he did it very, very hush-hush and not real aggressive about it. And in the case of Otto, he never made it home, not in a way that he would be able to live a full life. His last awakened moments were unfortunately in the care of people who were hostile and hated America. And I just would like to talk to our citizenry right now and encourage you, whether you like Trump or not, whether you agree with the current powers that be here in the United States right now or not, I would like to encourage you to please reach out and ask for answers surrounding this and try to find out who else does North Korea have in their gallows? Who else do they have in their walls, which we need to come home? Because this North Korean government has gone too far. One time, too many. One life, too precious to lose. We can no longer allow ourselves as a nation and as a people to be manipulated and taken advantage of, and our people, their lives lost. So please reach out to your congresspersons and touch base with them and put pressure on the Trump administration for answers. I mean, I've read a few statements, and I think it's a good start. But you know, words are words, and this is a life, and it's lost, and we can never get it back. And I think there's a parallel here in terms of ties to Obama, you know, with regard to the investigation of Trump. This is very similar, and also I like to call him. I like to call Trump, you know, the Donald. But the Donald is sat here for months on end. It's 6 months into his presidency. He was being spied on by the Obama administration, never investigated really. And here the media and even Trump himself says he's being investigated. Well, it's come clear from Jay Suklow, one of Trump's attorneys, that, quote, "We've received no notice of investigation." Quote, "The president is not and has not been under investigation." And so, that's end quote. And then I'll quote him again. "Well, look, I can't imagine a scenario where the president would not be aware of it," end quote. So I think it's important to make a distinction here, and I've said this before, is that what's the difference between an investigation, an open investigation, and being spied on? Okay? It's something where Comey wanted an investigation, looked and sought funding. And in the case of that funding, it wasn't shortly then after that Trump had fired him. Now, I don't think there's a direct correlation. I think Trump was going to fire him anyway, as he should have. But I think what's important to point out here is that an investigation has a great intent and legal ramification to it, should they find anything warranting. And when we look at that, we think, okay, there's got to be funding, there has to be sources, there has to be protocol, there are protocols that must be followed. On the flip side, you have what's not an investigation, which is spying, looking for intel, looking for information, intel, gathering information on Trump. And I think that very much was done under Obama, directly, indirectly. The funding probably went through, the military complex and one of our national security initiatives of some sort, and some funding that didn't need any sort of scrutiny. That was under an umbrella which we wouldn't necessarily know about, nothing with major legal ramifications, but that would carry a heavy weight in gathering intel. So when we make a distinction there, I think one's legal and one's, it may be legal, but it may not have legal ramifications in terms of trying to hold Trump to, some sort of a legally binding situation where he might be impeached and these things taken before Congress. I think the investigations that have been done, watching, listening, spying, and they know what they need to know. How far will it go? Probably not far at all. But I think the American people need to know more about that, and I don't know that they necessarily will. So, but the one thing that we have in common with the North Korea and the Donald Trump off-the-record investigation or spying on Donald Trump and his administration is Barack Obama. And I think that, we have to recognize that even Hillary Clinton, how has she stayed out of the spotlight here? Completely. Even she has a role of sorts. I recall talking to somebody today, and they even said, I hiccup. They mentioned very succinctly, why does Hillary Clinton have any sort of security clearance? She doesn't hold a government position any longer. Why does she need that? And I think that that's a valid point. And likewise, why is Holder opening and bringing up his head? The prior AG. Why is he bringing up his head? Why is he poking his head out of the reeds now? These individuals are currently coming up against our administration, the persons in power right now. And I think that when we look at this, we have to see the big picture. There is, in the background, a group of people who do not, and I will repeat that, who do not want to see America do well in the way which America was destined to flourish. Free markets, okay? The ability for people to, pursue happiness without government intervention and a heavy hand. And the only people that I see doing that are those on the left. Well, there might be a few on the right, but it would be those in the Barack Obama administration, the prior administration, or those affiliated. And I think the important distinction here is to realize who has anything to lose if they're found out. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, et al. Okay? All of them. They all have a lot to lose. And with what Comey did, with showing that even our top officials in the FBI can leak information, okay, he's proven that we have people within our ranks that are not afraid to, one, break the law, and two, try to bring America down. What Comey did, what others are doing within our government and have done in the past is not to lift America up, it's to tear her down. And I think that that's an important distinction to make. And the other tie that I feel is really super important here is the media. The one thing that I see tying all of those individuals together, all of those issues together, making a solidified effort and a unified effort, is the media. It's all over the place. And one of the ways that we see it, if you're trying to figure out what I'm talking about right now, is if you do a Google search on Georgia election results, you know what you're going to find. You're going to find a lot of stories about how the Democrat is destined to win because, the blowback against Trump and his poor ratings and his unfavorable rating right now. And I think that when you look at that and you see 90% of the stories are one way and 10% are the other, you have to open your eyes. Because as I see it right now, and I'm going to tie this all together, the Georgia results, it's currently 9:37 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time, and we have 5 percentage points with Karen ahead, Karen Handel, leading by 5 percentage points over Jon Ossoff with 48% of precincts fully reporting. Okay? I'm going to read that again. The conservative candidate, Karen Handel, leads by 5 percentage points over Jon Ossoff with 48% of precincts fully reporting. Now, that's not to say that he might not win. He could. The projections are that he won't. But, in some other projections we've heard all week, he's going to win. And as a matter of fact, on this particular article, as I quote the New York Times, quote, "The race between Jon Ossoff and Karen Handel is largely seen as a referendum on the first months of Donald J. Trump's presidency. It's also the most expensive U.S. House race in history." And they edited that. Basically, earlier it said that it was something where, because of Trump's unfavorable factor, that this was basically a bite back, that the Democrats were going to win because Donald Trump is so horrible, and we're going to show the Republicans how much we mean business. And I'm going to tell you what, the people are sick of it. The people are sick of the MSM, the mainstream media. They're tired of it. And when we see fake news, we're not talking about, the fake spam news that's, satire. We're talking about the news where such and such reporter writes one thing and then is corrected and reprimanded and then has to go back and correct it. No, he reported it how he wanted to report it before, then he goes back and he corrects it because he has to. Fake news would be falsifying information and then correcting it, making revisions, misleading people by the way in which you report. And in this case, instead of reporting the facts and the real projections, they go based off of their own polling, which is skewed and not representative of the people at all. And that is one thing that the people are absolutely sick of, is news reporting that is not news of the people at all. They're tired of it. They're tired of government being run the same way, running for themselves, blowing all this money on 2 seats, on 1 seat with a couple of people, blowing all this money. Okay, for what? Power. For what? Control of the GDP. Okay? And the people are sick of it. They're tired of being pawns. They want the work done. They want Obamacare, repeal and replace. They want a lot of different action taken. Tax reform. They want many different things done. One thing they don't want is Congress to keep on politics as usual. And we're seeing Trump try to fight that, and Congress is just digging in their feet. And it's unfortunate, and I think that in the case of the Democrats, they're going to see here that we're still sick of it. And in the case of this particular race, the excuse will be in Georgia that, well, it was a highly conservative area, and as much as we tried to push it, it was inevitable that they would retain that seat. Okay. And earlier the position was that we were sick of it, and we were so strong as a Democrat Party that we were going to take that seat. There was no losing. But now it's going to shift. And you watch it. You can see the propaganda fly. And in that way, and I'm using that as an example, is that the media is a large part of the problem with Obama, Hillary, and all of them, and making the case against President Trump, against the current administration, against we the people, and not doing the right thing. And basically, if you want to look at it this way, they're trying to get Trump in a position where they can impeach him. For what? I have no clue. They're really trying, but basically it's nothing short of a coup, if you will, and it's in the background, but it's there. And I think we need to be vigilant, and we need to work every election, every seat, hard as can be. I've seen a lot of pounding of the sand and the asphalt in some of these special elections. 2 of these in particular, and I'm hopefully will be very pleased with the outcome. Nonetheless, I think it's not just about the money anymore. It's about the fact that the people are fed up. And it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it, okay? The people's voice is going to be heard. And I was talking today about a person I would call my friend, which would be Omar Navarro. And in the case of Maxine Waters' seat here in California, Omar and I don't agree on everything. As a matter of fact, we've had some arguments online off and on over the years about different topics, and that's okay. And I wouldn't say arguments, but maybe proper discourse is a better term for that. And so in any case, he wanted to run for Maxine Waters' seat, and I've supported him in that effort, at least online, and with kind of trying to round up the troops and encourage things politically, so to speak. Now, I've heard a lot of back and forth about Omar, that he has received money from a certain political supporter, a lot of money, and in exchange for then what turned out to be favors, which he has completely come out into the public about the whole ordeal. Rather upset, apparently, that he wasn't aware that this is a person that he shouldn't have been involved with. Now, after the fact, I've now heard from 2 people that Omar is supported by Democrats. I'm going to tell you this flat out. I sent Omar an email, or should I say a message, and I asked him categorically about this, and we'll see what he answers me back, and if I have an answer Thursday, I'll give it to you. But I asked him categorically about his funding, because this is the thing. Not just Republicans aren't the only ones upset with Maxine Waters, okay? Republicans aren't the only ones, Democrats aren't the only ones upset with Maxine Waters, okay? But Democrats just as much as Republicans, I'm sure, want this woman out. So it would be natural for people who don't like Maxine Waters to contribute to Omar Navarro's seat. Whether they're a Trump supporter or not, him receiving donations from Democrats would be likely. People, individuals. Now, specifically, is he supported by any one large group? I'm not sure. I've asked him. And so I'll be interested to hear back what exactly his position is. But, Democrats and Republicans alike are sick of these people who've been lifetime politicians in seats, and they aren't doing what they need to for the American people. And it's going to be seat by seat that we have to take them out. And, I can't judge Omar for anything. I don't know anything about his particular case. When I find out, then I can look at it objectively and then decide, for me, if I can still support him. But right now, as of this moment, it's up in the air. And I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't support Maxine Waters. And if the GOP throws somebody in there, I'd be questioning and wanting to know why. Because I know that Omar went to the GOP and asked for their support. And they wouldn't give it to him. Because they didn't think the seat was worthy enough. That it was too much of an uphill battle. Too much money spent for something that wouldn't be a sure thing. And I know we have to pool our money. But that's just not the reason why we fight or the way we win. We win when we say the people, look, this is who we think will be a better candidate for that area. We need you to back us. And the people will say, gosh, that person stands for my value set. Gosh, I'll donate. Okay, in an Omar Navarro's case, you can donate to him direct, which is fabulous. So, in any case, that's still up in the air, but that is also a very good example about how the media has completely just bombarded the system. Because in his case, Omar is not getting the media attention. Guess who's getting the media attention? Maxine Waters. Guess who's up on the major news networks? Maxine Waters. Guess who isn't? Omar Navarro. Why? It's all about the Benjamins, baby. And it's so sad because the people deserve to hear from both sides to be able to make their decision when it comes election time. And that's the news agencies, the media's job is to provide the American people with the information. It's their liberty teeth, is they can do investigations and they can ask questions and get information. And so that's their duty. So I'm hoping that we can put pressure a little bit there and make sure that we have quality airtime for our candidates this next election cycle for the midterms. So that's something we also need to keep on the editors about and the news agencies about. In any case, as we roll around to the end of our show, I did want to talk about one more thing, which is Obamacare. So there are rumors going on right now, great rumors, which tickle my ears and make me happy. And that would be that the Senate is actually talking to get the report to the CBO by the end of the week. And that would mean that hopefully that the rumors are true, that they might be voting on Obamacare repeal or replace of some sort by July 4th. That would be fabulous. The signal there is, do not let up on your pressure. Make sure you contact not just your senators, but your House of Representatives as well. Your representatives in the House as well, excuse me. Make sure you keep the pressure on them. They need to know that you're watching. They need to know exactly what you want as constituents. And they need to know that you're watching them on an open scale. So when they come up for election, if you're not meeting their needs, you're going to be giving them the boot. And so make sure you also ask them what their stance is on the Obamacare repeal and replace, and then you make it again clear what you want. So don't let up. Keep the pressure on them, on your senators. Tell them you want that report to the CBO by the week's end, that you know and are aware that they could vote on it before July 4th. You want them to do that because we need to have more food on our plates come this time next year. We need premiums to decrease. We need all of those tax monies, and I think I said on my last show, I said Medicare, it's Medicaid, that has been expanded, and money has been given out in terms of health care and other, what do you call them? It's totally escaping me. Benefits have been given out in that area that maybe should otherwise been not spent in that way. And so these people in Congress need to know that you're paying attention, that you want those taxes decreased. You want all of those taxes put into place by Obama. You want them put down to nothing. Now, we know you have to spend money in order to keep some of those programs running. You can let them know that. But just also encourage them that you know that that's your money. That, that needs to be on your plate for your family. That's your meal. That's your earnings. That's your hard labor that they're spending. So they better think twice about how maybe that they're spending it and who they're giving it to. So if they must keep certain taxes in there, that it should be only the essentials. That they need to think first before they hand out that money. And I know some representatives congresspersons are really good about that, and most of them are not. So, but make it clear that you're aware, you're engaged, and you're watching. The last thing is, there's another act that's come up. I've tweeted about it. I'll enclose it in our comment section. And that is about, oh gosh, what is it called? I didn't write it down because I wasn't going to touch on it, but now I've just decided that I will. It's a new act that's come up where basically one particular congressperson has suggested that we allow illegals to serve in our military in exchange for citizenship and or amnesty. Now, I'm going to tell you what. If you break a law to come here, I do not want you in our military. Period. End of story. There's no out and about around that. So I'm not sure where you stand on that as a person. I'll include everything in the comment section on all of the different recordings of this edition of Political Core. I think it's important that you read up on that particular bill and you contact your congresspersons immediately and you get on them and you say, no, if you break the law, you jump our fence, you make decisions to stay here illegally, we don't want you in our military. We don't want you holding guns in our country. We don't want you enforcing laws or fighting in our wars. We want you out of here. And I almost take personally, there are very few things I take offense to. This I take heavily offense to. It's something where, it's like handing a criminal a gun. It's out of this world insane. And our Congress members, one of them in California is the one who suggested it, and a Republican. It's just outrageous. So these are the sorts of things that are being suggested in Congress. I think that we need to be very quick and very swift about how the rule of law works, how we want our country and our republic to work. And this is one way that we can express it, would be to write your congressperson, call them, make it clear, keep the pressure on in that area as well. Give them an inch, they're going to take a foot. So I think if we're swift about this and very clear about this, it'll send the right message, and we need to do it unified. And there's a whole package that I'll provide for a link that you can use on social media to get the word out on that. And so make sure you look for that in the comment sections of the recording, and also send it around to your friends. It's important that people know that this is what these people are up to in our Congress. And President Trump as well. He's got a lot on his plate, and hopefully this sort of thing wouldn't escape him, but, he's got a lot on his plate. In any case. There's a lot more we can cover tonight, and I'm thinking that on some of these topics we'll have a lot in the days to come. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens in these special elections, and as of right now, I just want to give you an update. Karen Handel in Georgia, leads by 5 percentage points, 79% of precincts reporting. She has 52.4%. John Ossoff has 47.6%. And the other election is not one that I've been following. You can follow that online. I'll also put that in the comments as well. So that's great news so far. All right. So there are a lot of positive things happening, and a lot of ways that Republicans are coming together and making positive change. I'm just so proud of you guys. So proud of all of you. This is just more proof that we're unifying and we're coming together. It's really quite wonderful. So now I'm going to give you the information and resources. I'm going to give you the phone number to Congress. It's 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. You can also go to house.gov or senate.gov. You can also look up other resources on my website, which is erinkruse.com, or you can send me emails and inquiries to info@erinkruse.com. I respond to everyone, and I love hearing from you. And then also I will be sending out the references and putting them in the comment section. You can also see more of my information and political tweets at Wagner Gurley, WAGNERGIRLE, on Twitter. And you can look me up on social media, Political Core, The Erin Cruse Show, Erin Cruse. You'll find me everywhere. If not, you can email me and I'll help you out with any questions you might have. So, as always, I just want to point out, we want to grow together. We want to find common solutions, find common ground. I will answer all of those questions that I can. If I can't answer them, I'll point you to somebody who will be able to help. Don't ever hesitate to reach out. We're in this together, all right? Thank you again for joining me, Erin Cruse. All right, on this edition of Political Core, The Erin Cruse Show. Join me again on Thursday night for the Queen of Politics at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, and pretty much it's a little bit more fun on Thursday nights, but we do rush through the issues a lot quicker, so it's more like a weekly recap. But it's a good time, so make sure you join us. Please, I want to make sure that you have the information to make positive change in your community, okay, in your state, and in the nation. So stay connected, all right? I love y'all. Have a blessed evening. God bless you, and God bless America.
To hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about Political Core and The Erin Cruse Show, visit us online at erinkruse.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com. Thank you for joining us, and see you at the same time and the same place next week.